SoundCloud. Hello, hello. What's going on, everybody? I'm so excited to have you all here. We've got about 10 people on the call. That's a nice group. And I asked you all to jump in with where you're from, which scale you've got, and if you don't mind sharing your intention, what would you like to get out of today's class? So again, you should know this because you're here, but this class is titled 3 Patterns for Meditative Play. So we'll be digging into that in a moment after we do some intros and a quick little meditation. So let's start with the intro. So you guys shared, and thank you for doing so. We got Dennis from Germany, and he has a new B Russ. That's a beautiful scale. He's got his son, 7 years old, sitting next to him, which is so cool. I think that if I had, seen a RAV Vast when I was a young kid, that would have made all kinds of crazy dreams come true a lot sooner. So good on you for sharing this with your son. That's really awesome. We got Brian calling in from Brazil. He purchased his RAV and has been delivered to Toronto. Awesome. So just checking things out and maybe do some formal lessons in due course. Sounds great. And we've got Shahid. How you doing, brother? Shahid from Pakistan. And he has ordered his RAV Vast B Curd, waiting for it to be delivered. Just wants to learn how to use it. B Curd is such a beautiful scale, and I'm excited to share some stuff with you today. So that when you get your drum, you can dive right in with some knowledge, a little bit of understanding of what you got in your lap. Roxanne, tuning in from Berkeley, California. She has a G Pygmy and a B Curd. She'd love to learn techniques to help her learn to do more in improvisation. Awesome. This workshop will definitely support you in getting the groundworks upon which you can then improvise. So I'm excited to share. We got Robert, located in northern Germany in the Jever region. I hope I said that right. Jever? He's a beginner on the RAV Vast, just a few days. Welcome to the RAV family. Hello. That's awesome. G Pygmy scale. So beautiful, so deep and rich. I love that scale. He's open-minded for all that's going to come, just likes to play meditative. I love it. So do I. We got Bjorn. Bjorn also from Germany, but this time southern Germany. So we're covering the full span of Germany. Also the G Pygmy. Fantastic. You guys are both representing the G Pygmy in Germany. You got the north covered and you got the south covered. So Bjorn got the G Pygmy because he practices yoga and also meditation. But also a total or absolute beginner, not to put words. So he hopes to get some impression from the lesson. Inspiration, I think, maybe what you're going for. Yeah, absolutely. I hope this will inspire you. We got Brian, who also ordered the B Curd, he says. Awesome. Such a cool scale. So beautiful and musical. A lot of cool stuff. One of my students, Steph, actually has a B Curd, and she covers like all these amazing popular songs with the RAV, and her voice is so incredible. So she sings over the RAV. It's really amazing with the B Curd. So great scale. A lot of cool stuff you can do with that. Very versatile. We got Humberto. Hello. From El Salvador. So cool. But living in Spain. Wow. That's also really cool. It's a breath worker from the Wim Hof method. That is intense. Love it. All about that cold water immersion. So beginning to play the RAV drum to heal himself and others. And he has a D major. Beautiful. D major was my first scale of RAV. I got it 3.5 or so years ago, and I've been using it in my sound healing practice since I got it. It's like such a transcendent, nostalgic, happy feeling drum. So amazing for healing yourself and others. And I'm excited to share. And we got Dennis chiming in saying, we are absolute beginners in playing the RAV and would like to get a few quick basics. We got 3 quick basics coming your way. And Arshad, hello, my friend from Mauritius. I hope I said that right. Plays the D Celtic minor and wants to learn while enjoying the garden. Beautiful. Sounds great. Well, thank you all so much for sharing that and for hopping in there with your intentions. Let's basically Before I introduce myself, because I feel like it's part of the knowledge and kind of where this all approach is coming from. We're going to start with a quick meditation. So if you know me, I'm the RAV for meditation guy, and therefore I always start these classes and most of my lessons a lot of the time with a little bit of a meditation. And the reason being, meditation is extremely powerful for helping us to calm our nervous system, get us out of the high beta and gamma brainwave states that we're normally in our waking hours and into that more lower, calmer brainwave state where we can actually access our creativity. We can learn a little bit better. We can be more receptive to new information. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to start just a little bit of that. So I just want to do a quick sound check. And if you guys can just let me know that it's all sounding good. And I'm going to be doing this on my D major here because I believe Arshad, you were saying that you have a D Celtic minor and you weren't sure if the higher range of scales work for meditation. So you'll be the judge of that here with this quick little session we'll do. Just let me know how it sounds. How does it sound? Somebody just come into the chat real quick. Let me know. Okay, I'm just going to trust that it's good. All right, everybody. So what we're going to do is go ahead and just find a comfortable spot wherever you are. Obviously, if you're out and about, may not be safe to do so. But otherwise, if you're in a sedentary place, please, I encourage you to close your eyes. And what you're going to do is just focus your gaze in and up towards the center of your eyebrows. And what this does, one, closing your eyes helps to calm the sensory activation that you're getting from your environment. Any light, it helps to just calm everything down, go inward. This helps to then stimulate that relaxation response. And what we're going to do is focus our gaze again in and up towards the center of our eyebrows to help stimulate our pineal gland, which is responsible for our intuition, creativity. It also will help you to kind of clear out any jitters or brain fog or excessive thoughts and things like that. And what we're also going to do, I generally always like to combine some breath work with my meditation, in addition to adding the sound, because the breath, deep breathing actually helps to stimulate our vagus nerve, which is the largest nerve channel in our body. It goes from our brain to our heart, to our digestive system, out to our extremities. And it's actually the key player in that turning off of the fight or flight response, our stress response, which we're in kind of chronically as a society. And it helps us shift from that state, which is not very helpful for anything other than surviving, an attack from a tiger or something. It helps us basically transfer from that state into our parasympathetic. And parasympathetic is our rest and restore mode, where we can actually digest our food, repair our cells, actually receive creative ideas. So, and also it helps us to learn better. We're more receptive because we're not so caught up in the stress and where's the threat and the problem. So that's why we do breath work. The breath that I'm going to have you do, and if you've joined me on the class before, it's called the box breath. So you already know it if you've joined me before. It's 4 parts. It's very, very simple. And you can do this breath anytime, by the way. You can take it off into your life in any other arena. You can do it while you're driving and nobody will be able to tell. It's actually been made popular by the US Marines because it came out that they use it in their training to show their soldiers how to keep calm and focused in combat scenarios so that they can deal with whatever threats are in the environment. And in our lives, and when we're trying to learn, it's maybe fairly obvious that the enemy is stress. And so this breath really supports us in getting out of that stress response. So it's 4 parts. And what we're going to do is start with an inhale through the nose, 2, 3, 4, and then holding at the top, 2, 3, 4, and then exhaling out through the mouth, 2, 3, 4, and then hold at the bottom, 2, 3, 4, and then inhaling again. And holding, 2, 3, 4, and exhaling. Holding, 2, 3, 4, inhaling. Holding, 2, 3, 4, and exhaling. And then so on and so forth. Any questions about the breath, anything that I just shared, you can always drop them in the chat. Should be fairly simple to do. And so what we're going to do, again, closing our eyes, starting to focus our gaze in and up towards the center of our eyebrows. We're going to begin with that box breath. And we're just going to start with that inhale through the nose, holding at the top, and exhaling. Hold. 2, 3. Inhale. Hold. 2. Exhaling. 3. Hold. Inhale. Hold. 2, 3. Exhale. Hold. 2. Inhale. Hold. Exhaling. Hold. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Hold. Inhale. Just continue that at your own pace. Just continuing to focus on that breath, knowing that you're calming your nervous system, entering that more relaxed, receptive state. And wherever you're at in that breath, just starting to turn your attention towards your environment, anything that you might be noticing coming into your awareness. Just starting to acknowledge it, seeing it there. Without judging it, labeling it right or wrong, or saying that it has to be anything else. We accept it. And then we let it go. Just letting it drift off, wherever it might be, like a cloud floating through the sky, or a feather floating down a stream. Starting to notice the sounds. Maybe sound of nature around you, sound of cars, other people. Life happening all around us. In perfect balance. Starting to recognize our part in that perfect balance, the flow of all it is. Turn our attention inward towards our thinking mind. Starting to notice any thoughts, questions, judgments, labels, pictures, memories. Whatever's coming into your awareness, just as we did a moment ago. Starting to notice whatever's coming up in our mind. judging it as right or wrong. Just starting to allow ourselves to release our thoughts, being unattached as they arise. Starting to allow them to drift off like a feather down a stream or a cloud through the sky. Knowing that as soon as we release them, they will be replaced by something else. That's perfect. Just our mind doing what it does, what it's designed to do. Just starting to bring our intention to mind, consciously thinking about what we want to create with our music. Perhaps it's to create healing for ourselves or for others. Perhaps we would like to just learn how to enjoy creating music on our own. Just recognizing the beauty of this intention. How it has been given to you. You're starting to see in your mind's eye that intention start to manifest. So allowing your imagination to see the people you will affect. Your beautiful meditative music. Seeing your own life improve as well. You're starting to give thanks for that manifestation. As if it's already happened. Just remembering that our intentions are the seed of all that we see in our lives. Just starting to put some mental soil on top of that seed that we have just planted. That soil being those feelings of gratitude, those feelings of excitement that we have about our intention coming to be. Just feeling into those good feelings, knowing that we are planting that seed of intention deep within our subconscious mind, knowing that it will support us in bringing it about. Taking another deep breath in through the nose, holding, letting it out. Just starting to now bring your attention back to the room that you might be in, your present environment. Back to your body. You're wiggling your toes, your fingers, giving your neck a little roll. Shoulders. And a little curl on your lips, a little smile. Begin to open your eyes, coming back. Ready to learn. How was that, guys? I would love to know what you think. Please share in the comments how that felt and how you're feeling now, what you're thinking, any feedback, anything like that. I'd love to hear it. And also know that you're all not asleep. Let me see if I have any. Oh yeah, we got lots of faces here. I'm looking at y'all now. How does that sound? Was it good? Okay? Feeling good? Yeah. Right on. Really relaxed now, Robert says. Beautiful. Bjorn says, perfect starter, totally calmed down and relaxed. Beautiful. Umberto, feeling great. Thank you. Thank you for showing up for your practice, brother. Arshad, feeling light and relaxed. Isn't that nice? Fantastic. Yeah. So that right there is the power of what I call the meditative approach in action. Now, if you haven't heard me talk before, or you've never experienced any of my teachings or anything like that, I have a framework and a system that I call the meditative approach. I'll get into that in a moment. We'll be digging into the actual way to apply that a little bit in a moment. So you guys have given your intros. You've got your nice little meditation. You're all feeling light and relaxed. And now you have to listen to me explain who I am. It's only fair at this point. Is that cool? If I give a quick intro? All right. So my name is Justin Ezor. I am a sound healer and percussionist. I've been drumming 15 years. I actually like to come to my parents' house. I'm in my parents' house right now, to my childhood room, because this is actually the very place in that corner there where there's no longer a drum kit. That's where I took my very first drum lesson, right there on the full kit. I studied jazz and rock and funk with some amazing percussionists early on in my career. And it was really foundational for me. So that's why I like to come here. It just kind of reminds me of that energy so that I can share it to y'all. Because my teachers made such a huge difference in my life. Clearly, here I am. Funny enough, quick aside, my drum teacher, one of my long-term ones, his name was Alex Platt, still is Alex Platt. He's awesome. He would have me meditate before every drum lesson. And I didn't get it before, but now it's all very cool how it's all come together for me, where now I teach drum lessons too and have people meditate before. Anyways, I'm from Los Angeles, California, and I am a percussionist, as I said. I studied health and human science in college. I thought I wanted to be a physical therapist and help people get back in the game. And what I realized quickly after one day of an internship was that it was not for me. And it was right around that time that I decided to actually, third year of college, going into my senior year, I decided to basically drop that path and jump straight into the path of entrepreneurship. And so I actually started a computer science charity, which has spread to over 20 cities nationwide. At this point, we work with over 20,000 kids, helping them to get mentors from Google, Apple, and Microsoft, companies like that, so that they can find their pathway into the world of tech. And then in addition to that, I also co-founded a co-working space, a shared office for entrepreneurs, freelancers, people that were kind of isolated in their profession because they don't have a bunch of people around them. So just supporting them in having all the resources they need to be successful, to do their life's work and impact the world in a bigger way. I was in charge of the sales and the partnerships for most of that launch. And we sold all 20 offices when we launched, and it became successful and all that. And in addition to that, we were also doing, my co-founder and I were doing business development consulting, community development consulting for different startups, venture-backed companies, all that. So I was very, very much immersed in the hustle culture. I basically was always working, never taking any time off for myself to just kind of focus on my own well-being. And in the short term, that was great. I was achieving stuff. We again filled the co-working space, got a plaque from the mayor. Forgot to mention, we raised $750,000 to get the co-working space. So the grind and the hustle was paying off in a really cool way, impacting all these kids' lives, helping other companies make their impact. But what ended up happening on the back end, what nobody could really see, was that there was this slow drip of just basically chronic stress and worry and never taking a time, away from all that to really take care of myself. I just started to wear down more and more and more, began fighting with my co-founder because we were just butting heads. Neither of us were taking care of ourselves. And ultimately, it ended up with me in burnout. I was completely stressed, totally exhausted, and I basically couldn't do anything. I was just a total wreck. I was in tears very often, and I didn't quite understand like what had happened. Um, Obviously ignoring all of my health and human science at that point, I thought it wasn't valuable to me at that point. But it was around that time that I actually was fortunate enough to meet my then girlfriend and now wife, Catherine, and she was the person who really started to inspire me to get back into more the health and wellness side of things, because she saw me burning out and not doing so well. So she actually got me back into meditation, and she had me go to my first ever sound healing session. And I'd never experienced it before. I didn't even know what the heck it was. I was like this tech bro that didn't really believe in any of the spiritual woo woo, all that stuff. Um, and so, she was my girlfriend. I was like, okay, I'll try it out. I went to this session, and guys, can I just say, like, it was the most profound, transformative, like, experience. I actually ended up releasing a ton of, stored stress, trauma, whatever. I was crying, but in a like beautiful, blissful way. It was the strangest thing. I actually felt like I connected with my higher self, and it was something about the sound and the vibration that allowed me to go there, where I had been unable to process and release previously. And so it was right then and there that I knew I was like hooked on the sound healing experience, because it wasn't drinking and it wasn't smoking. And yet I still felt this amazing release of stress and stored trauma and all this stuff that I'd kind of just been numbing and pushing away. And it was around that time that I basically started to become very curious about this world of sound healing. And that's when I started to go online and I saw a handpan. And for me, the handpan was this amazing instrument that kind of allowed a percussionist to make something beautiful. Growing up right here in this corner, I was playing my drum kit. And whenever my mom or somebody would come home after, going out for errands, they would bust into my room because I was jamming and rocking out. And they say, "Hey, quiet down. Uh, I'm home now. Stop that." And it gave me this jolt of anxiety, because they broke my flow state, and I became very self-conscious about it, and it created this like thing inside of me. So the idea that a drummer could create something that was relaxing with their skills was just incredible to me. And plus the sound were just like magical and otherworldly. So I became obsessed with handpans for a moment, diving down the YouTube rabbit hole. And basically I decided I had to have one. So I asked around in my network, and I asked a friend of a friend, and they said, yeah, my friend's actually selling one. And so it was right around the corner from me. So I drove over there, and it was this kind of trash handpan, honestly, now. But when I first saw it, handpan makers will call it a bolly can. It's very poorly tuned. It even had rust spots on it. The guy wasn't taking care of it. But I was a mesmerized, like eager person, and I had money saved from the work I was doing. So I was like, yeah, here's $1,500 for this piece of crap that I didn't know was a piece of crap at the time. But anyways, it was kind of a great boot camp for me, because I actually learned how to create good sounds out of a mediocre pan. So it was a boot camp in and of itself, um, as I went down that path. But it was also around that same time that my wife, or then girlfriend, who was a holistic health coach at the time, she was leading lots of meditations. She decided that it would be cool to combine the handpan with meditations. And then when that was starting to feel good, we were sharing that in our consulting sessions and things like that. My wife and her girlfriend, then the wife now, we were working together. We were sharing this meditative practice in our consulting work. We were finding that people were kind of getting into their better headspace and then doing better work. And so we thought we should go deeper into this. So we actually ended up buying a set of quartz crystal singing bowls. We got 11 bowls. I had my first handpan, and we were just going to different companies and sharing this power of meditation. And slowly but surely, that side of our work began to eat the other side of our work, because we found that people were less stressed, they were more creative, they were having better relationships internally at the company, and therefore everything was just starting to flow better. And so we found that that was way more impactful than giving any strategies or advice that we could possibly provide. Because when you get someone into their best state, when you have them relax out of the stress response and into their parasympathetic, and you get them into those more flow brainwave states, all of a sudden they can come up with the best strategy for them and their company. They can do all the work that they need to do. They can show up consistently in a calm, centered way and not fight with their co-founders, not fight with their people, and not change directions every 2 seconds. So that's basically what kind of started that journey. That was started in January of 2017 and built until we basically in 2018 just let go of the other stuff to dive full into sound healing. Since then, we've worked with over 1,200 people from 30 countries. Before the pandemic had hit, we were actually in Southeast Asia, traveling and doing our work at these top wellness resorts that we were connecting with because they were looking for sound healers, and we happened to have the goods. We brought some of our bowls. So we were in Thailand for 3 months. We did a residency at a 5-star wellness resort there. We did 130 private group sessions, private and groups, over the span of 3 months. So it was just like boom, 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 lots and lots of sessions. People were very interested in it. And most of how I got those was playing this very drum. I would sit around on the property and just be jamming out. And people go, what is that thing? It's amazing. I feel so relaxed. And I would actually give a talk and explain it, explain a bit of the science behind sound healing. And ultimately that got people to book sessions. And so I was seeing that this thing has some power, like you can reach people with it. In addition, then we went to Bali, and we were doing that at another place, wellness center, biohacking center, and similar thing. It was just very, very enticing to people. People were all about this. And so it was through that experience, and kind of tying it way back, actually, I skipped over this detail. When I first started playing handpan, I'm kind of just flowing here. I hope this is okay, guys, and you're following along, not bored by my story. Cool. Appreciate the thumbs up. Just tying it back a little bit, because I got to give her credit where credit is due. I received, when I was first playing and I was jamming a lot on my original handpan, my wife, Catherine, she told me, slow down, you're giving me anxiety. And it was those words that kind of re-triggered that same jolt that I used to get when my mom or whoever would bust into my room when I was playing drums. And so it kind of made me like pay attention. I was like, wait, I'm giving her anxiety? And it made me think, like, maybe the energy that I'm putting out through the pan has some effect. And it was around that time that we also enrolled in a sound healing training, so that we could learn deeper about the theory behind it. And it was like from that moment, and then through all of the sessions that we did at companies and through our private work, and then when we went to Asia, that I developed what I call the meditative approach, which is my signature framework that I will be sharing a little bit of the groundwork of with you today. So I think that's my full intro, more or less. I've been now teaching RAV for meditation and healing. I basically teach the foundation, so how to get all of your harmonics and effects coming out of your pan, how to strike properly in the first level of what I teach. And then in the second level, we dig deeper, usually into the meditative approach, developing your signature sound. And I've worked with about 35 people now from around the world in that. And I'm now doing these free classes for the community as well, just to help people kind of get started and have a little bit more fun with their pans. So I appreciate y'all joining once again. And if you're ready, we can start to talk about the stuff that we all came to talk about, right? Sounds good? Cool. Woo-hoo. All right. Thank you guys for the interaction as well. It helps. So what is the meditative approach? Now, if you've been on a workshop with me before, like Roxanne, I see you there. I know you probably already know this. And a couple of you guys, I think, have been with me before. The meditative approach, I usually like to kind of describe what it is by starting with what it's not. And in general, what happens when people first see the handpan, when they first see the RAV Vast, is they'll see a very, very fast, often technical player, somebody like Nadashana, David Kuckerman, people like that. They see these instruments being played in a very like in kind of intense way, and it's very skillful and artful the way that they do it. But it kind of gives this impression that the way to play a handpan is like this. And people are just like rocking out and like basically like playing a drum kit, but on this instrument. And so what happens is, and I can't play most, and I'm not trying to talk smack or nothing, but I can't play most videos on Instagram or YouTube of people playing their drums around my wife, because she says the same thing that she always used to tell me. Oh my God, turn that off. It's giving me anxiety. She's very sensitive to that kind of stuff. I'm a drummer. I like the fast technical. It's cool. But what ends up happening is, and when it comes to the meditative approach, I talk about this all the time, the energy that we put through the pan goes into the listener, basically. So if you're playing this fast, activating music, what's going to happen to the person listening? They're going to get activated. They're going to get turned on in some way. And that's awesome. If that's your intention, you're trying to wow somebody, you're trying to get somebody like pumped up and activated, or play some dance vibes, you're gonna show up a little bit different, right? You're gonna have like, which is like totally awesome. I love playing like that. Honestly, it's one of my like favorite things to do, just to have fun. But you will never catch me playing like that in a meditation session. And the reason being, because it doesn't quite allow the person to get into that deeper grounded state, because I'm not coming with that energy. And so that's basically what the meditative approach is not. So it's kind of maybe fairly obvious, but it's just important to really slow it down and space it out. And so that's what the meditative approach is all about. It's really finding a different way to approach the drum that allows you to bring about a specific intention. And that intention generally is to create grounding, spacious music to support somebody in achieving that deeper meditative state. And if you bring that intention, we say that, everything is energy. And maybe that sounds a little bit woo-woo or whatever. But really it's also like scientific. You think about like, I want to move my arm, right? So you're sending an electrical impulse, energy from your brain, down your brainstem, through your arm, and going, I want to move my arm. My arm moves automatically through energy, right? Through our intention of, I want to move my arm. But now let's say I add the layer of intention of, I want to move my arm quickly. Woo! All that. Okay, now let's go the other way. I want to move my arm slowly. All of a sudden, my energy is being controlled by my intention. And so the first thing that we need to do in the meditative approach is ground into an intention. We need to find that place of calm and still within ourselves. I always say the energy that you're putting out through the pan starts within the player. So if you want to put out grounding and spacious and meditative energy out through your drum, what do you have to do first? You have to become grounded, spacious internally, and meditative yourself. If you don't go there first yourself, then what's going to happen is you're going to come in with whatever you got going on, and you're going to spew it all over unconsciously, which is what most people end up doing, because they just haven't been taught to think, oh, I should bring an intention to what I'm doing here. I'm actually creating energy. Like all these different notes, they're energy, right? Each one is a different vibration. So this one feels different than that one. They all create a different feeling of energy. It's this vibration that's entering you. And the way that you play the notes layers on that extra layer of energy. So, is that all making sense so far? Following? Fantastic. So, yeah, the meditative approach, again, is bringing that specific intention. And, it's really just that simple. Now, at the same time, it's a little bit more complicated when you think, how do I mechanically create grounding, spacious music, right? You're thinking, okay, well, I can bring this state, and maybe I'll do the same exact thing that I was doing a little bit slower, but it still sounds too busy. Maybe, a lot of people, they're taught to play, they'll just have these like, patterns that they kind of get stuck in, where they go. it's not really spacious. It can sound cool that way, but it's not allowing for that deeper kind of state to necessarily come through. You're going to keep that mind activated. So that's where the meditative approach and how we can mechanically apply it starts to come into play. And so here's what we're going to start with, basically, is the first of your 3 patterns for meditative play. And this one you might have already kind of gotten something from in the community, or if you come to one of my other workshops, you'll already kind of be familiar with this. So sorry for the repetition, or you're welcome for the repetition. It helps drive it in, actually. I won't apologize. So the first thing we're going to start with is ghost notes. Now, ghost notes are where you're actually playing none of the notes, basically, but you're still creating some sound. And what we're going to need to do in order to basically play like something to a click, if you've ever counted time before, then you already know how to do this. If you haven't, I'll give a quick primer on how to count time. So in music, the most common time signature, it's called, like the way that the time is divided, is in what's called 4/4 time, 4/4, 4/4. And it basically, it sounds like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on and so forth. Pretty simple. You've definitely heard music, and especially in popular music, on the 4/4 time signature, because it's fairly ubiquitous. It's just what everybody uses. Now, we're going to be using that as well when we create grounding and spacious music, but we're going to be filling that space in a different way. Normally, what you're doing is filling every single spot that you can. What we're going to start to do is allow ourselves to actually space things out with ghost notes. So that's the reason for the ghost notes. The ghost notes support us in doing something, creating something that's not as activating as a. I can keep time just as well like this, but I'm not activating you now. And you can almost hear that little pitter patter, so you can follow along. And so what we're going to do, 4/4, the reason they call it 4/4, 4/4 time, is because in every measure, which is a subdivision of the time, there's this measure, then the next measure, then the next measure. 1, 2, 3, 4 is one measure. Then the next one would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. When we are counting these out, the 1, the 2, the 3, and the 4 are all called quarter notes. And a quarter note is called a quarter note because there's 4 of them in a measure, right? Pretty simple. There's 4 quarters in a dollar if you're in American currency. And if you are saying that you have 25% of something, 1 out of 4, you have a quarter of the total. So we're going to start with quarter notes as ghost notes. And the way that that's going to look is just on every 1, 2, 3, 4, we're going to give a right and then a left, right, left. And we're just doing this alternating right, left pattern. So it's going to go right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. Simple enough, right? And that's quarter notes. So very basic, very simple. And then just a quick aside, if that is very basic for you, you can also then go to the next level of subdivision, which is eighth notes. Eighth notes being 2 clicks for every single beat now. So it's basically you perfectly subdivide everything by 2. So instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, now it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and like that. And so it's still right, left, but now your right hand is going to be landing on those quarter notes. Right, left, right, left, right, left, right. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And just a quick note about ghost notes, the way that I like to teach them so that you can actually kind of create this nice pitter patter sound as you do them instead of like kind of creating like a lot of noise, metallic kind of sounds. I like to use the pads of all of my fingers, so thumb, index, middle, ring, pinky. I use all of them, and then I just allow them to go down onto the pan. I don't worry about lifting them up after or anything like that, which is part of what I teach with proper striking, but we're not getting into that today. So with ghost notes, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's quarter notes, right? And then if we want to go to eighth notes, we just basically double that. So we go 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 2. 4. And you might have just heard me counting the second measure, and I said 2 and 2 and 3 and 4. You're probably like, what the heck? This guy is teaching and he can't even count. But if you've not learned about counting time before, the reason that I was doing that is because I wanted to actually denote that we were in the second measure, because it just helps to keep track. So what you do is you replace the first quarter note with the number of measure that you're on. That might sound confusing, but really all you're doing is going 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, my phone is ringing. I'm not available. Airplane mode. All right. So is this making sense so far? Sorry for the distraction. Yeah, fairly simple. So it's the way we count it again, to count 2 measures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. Cool. We'll get into why I'm having you count 2 measures in just a moment with the next pattern. But this is the first pattern here. So it's just your ghost notes. And it might not seem like much, but it's going to be that groundwork, that nice layer of consistency so that you can actually continue to create a little bit of noise, but not enough to activate somebody. You're also keeping your hands in motion so that you can keep on time. And then someone can follow you as well, so they can kind of stay with the click a little bit. And in terms of tempo, if you're at all worried about that, like how fast you should be going, what I like to recommend for creating meditative music is to be in the range of 60 to 70 beats per minute. That just means that it's about 1 click per second, because that's actually the like 60 to 70 beats per minute of your heart is actually when you're very relaxed. So by creating this music at this tempo, we're going to start to relax ourselves and the listener as well, because we're not rushing. You'll notice that if you listen to death metal or rock music and it's very fast and driving, what happens inside of you? You want to push people and do in a mosh pit. So we're going to go the opposite way with that and just slow things down to about 60 or so beats per minute. Cool. So that's ghost notes and kind of counting time. I gave you a nice little primer there. I hope that was good. Yeah, all clear? Any questions on that so far? Shouldn't be too many. Here we go. Are you saying that my volume is a bit low? Or is it a little bit low? Turn it up slightly. How's that? A little better? Okay. Okay. Sorry about that for it being low. But you heard everything, yeah? Cool. All right, I'll keep moving because y'all are here for this time. So that's the first pattern, ghost notes. And we covered quarter notes and then eighth notes. Now, if you're already at the level where quarter notes and eighth notes are too simple for you, then I encourage you to try out 16th notes if you're a more advanced player. And 16th notes is where there's 4 per click. And the way you count those is 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E. I like to use 16th notes a lot because they're groovier, a lot more places to land. You can kind of feel the music a little bit more versus not as much grooviness there. And eighths, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 16ths. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 2 2, 3, 4. All right. Those are ghost notes. Those are the 3 levels of ghost notes that you can mess around with. Yeah, fairly self-explanatory there. So let's move now. And by the way, if you're like, holy crap, 16th notes counting 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a, everything that I teach is to get your hands and your head, to get your head to understand what's going on, and you get your hands in motion. And the goal is for you to actually be able to play without counting at all. I don't believe in having to go 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 2 and. That's way too much in your head. You're not gonna be able to think creatively or go anywhere. You become encumbered by it. But it's necessary to get your brain a little bit active and to get your hands in motion and confuse yourself and kind of push yourself until you can get it to that point where it's body memory, muscle memory. And I go into lots of different ways to do that in my teachings and stuff. But this is just like a really important thing to recognize, is that you want to just kind of focus on getting that in motion until you start to feel out time. I'm not thinking as I'm playing. I don't think 1, 2, 3, 4. Because how the heck, like what I was doing in the very beginning when I led you guys through a meditation, I was playing to a click most of that. If you didn't notice, I was playing to a very consistent click for the majority of that time. And I was able to then talk and still do things because I am not thinking about the time. I'm just focused on the sounds I'm creating and going in different directions and leading the meditation. So anyways, let's move on to pattern number 2. Sounds good? Woo! So this is one of my favorite things to share because it's going to basically help you to start creating that grounding, spacious vibe with your music. Now we have ghost notes, but you don't hear anything, right? So, what's the point of those? It's because they're actually going to help to keep that framework around what I call the 8 count. Now, you've been in a lesson with me before. You've probably heard this. So you're welcome again for the repetition. But what I call the 8 count, it stems from this framework called the Return to Home framework. Now, I learned this from one of my jazz teachers a long time ago. And he was an amazing solo jazz drummer, basically. So he would make these amazing sounding drum solos. And he was kind of known for that. And one of the things that he taught me was this return to home framework. And I'll make some noises with my mouth just to kind of mimic a drum kit. But he would go, and the boom, boom is his kick drum. So he would go, boom, boom, ba-da-da-da, da-ba-da-doo, ba-da-da, ba-da-da, boom, boom, ba-da-ts, ba-da-da-ts, da-da-ts, da-boom, boom, ba-da-da, ba-da-ba-da-doo, da, da-da-da, boom, boom. And no matter what he did, the random stuff that was going on, what was consistent there was the boom, 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 boom. And that piece, what he told me, is what creates that thread of consistency so that someone can listen to you playing solo and follow along instead of it just being randomly timed and you have nothing to anchor into as a listener or the player, by the way. Then you basically have no anchor. You're floating around and it doesn't feel grounded. And so I took that with me throughout my time playing the drums, and I've now learned how to implement that with the handpan. And now that's what I share with the meditative approach in this return to home framework. And the way that we actually are going to be doing that is with what I call the 8 count. Now, this is going to take what we just shared in the previous pattern about counting time. The reason I wanted you to count those 2 measures is because every 2 measures, what we're going to do is on 1, we're going to land, instead of the boom, boom with a kick drum, because we don't have a kick drum, and we're trying to make this instrument stand on its own, right? We're going to live around this home on a power note. And a power note, it could be your ding, or it could be a ding dyad. It's one of the lower notes on your scale. So if you have like a pygmy drum or something like that, or like the integral, like anything that has like a lower, deeper ding, you can usually rely on the ding as a power note. It's not necessary to use a power note. It's really more necessary to keep a home, but I like to teach it with a power note. And so the way that you can do a power note is either just with your ding, or I missed that there. I'm just showing you a two-handed dyad. It's called a dyad. Is just combining two notes. So you want to find a note that meshes really nicely with your ding on the lower end of the register of your drum. So, and usually there's like two options, one or two options available. So on the D major, it's the A and the D, and then the G and the D. And you just want to have your hands nice and synced up. And if you are having challenges with striking at this point, or you don't know about that, we're not going to really cover that today, just for sake of the lesson and the time we've got. But do your best to just try and get a powerful note out of either your ding or combining your ding with another lower note. So what we're going to start to do is layer these patterns on top of one another. So we're going to start with our ghost notes. And then on one, after two measures, we'll count in for two measures just to get used to that time frame again. And then on one, we're going to come in with a power note. Okay? And I'll show you first so you can see an example, and then you can try it out on your drum at home. Cool? So I'll start with my ghost notes. And for sake of kind of being in the middle ground with everybody, I'll just go with eighth notes. So you can obviously modify it for quarter notes or go more advanced with 16th notes on your own. But what we're going to do is start with the ghost notes, and we count in for two measures. So we go 1, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2. 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 2, 2 and 3 and 4, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 2 and 3 and 4. And right there, you can see already you're creating some nice, spacious music. And the grounding aspect of it, at least in my opinion, in addition to the spaciousness and kind of how it just kind of like starts loud and fades away into nothingness, you'll notice it takes about those two measures for that power note to ring all the way out at a lower tempo. So you're now taking advantage of how long you have with the sustain. So you're starting to really use the instrument the way that I see it, as it was designed to be used, so that it can ring and sing out instead of constantly being laid over itself. You're just creating this nice underlying one. Right there, you know? And that's your second pattern. It's just that very simple, every two measures on one, you're landing on that home. And you're keeping your ghost notes going underneath. Cool. That's making sense, right? No questions so far about that? Or if you have any questions? Okay. Yeah. Umberto, you were saying, say one more time for the D major. I don't know exactly what that was about. If you want to ask again. Cool. So is that making sense so far? That's your second pattern. We got the 8 count, the return to home framework. Cool. And this is core to what I'm doing. So if you watch me, oh, I like that thumbs up emoji. That's cool. If you watch me playing, this is like the underlying thread of a lot of what I'm doing. So just to kind of like riff a little bit. So you'll see that that's the 8 count in action underneath a lot of what I'm doing. Now there's a ton of other stuff that I'm doing on top of there, isolations, different types of combining of the notes, other things that we can get into and other work together and stuff. But you can see right there, you're getting this nice groundwork. Now, we have that very nice spacious underlying, but it's still very repetitive, right? And it's not really like taking us anywhere other than with the power note. So the next thing that we want to layer on top, the third pattern, is our fill. And fills are what they sound like. They're basically a strike or a note to fill the space in our music. Now, when I first teach this to people, the first thing that we do is we create those ghost notes. We get that home solid. So if the home, return to home framework is already a stretch for you, then I would recommend just starting and staying there until it becomes really like solid. And you're just automatically every 2 measures on 1, giving yourself that power note. That's going to start to really anchor in that time frame and just allow you to then build from there when we get into fills. Now, a fill, as I said, is a way to fill the space, but a lot of the fills that people are doing are very highly active. So if they're playing, 16th notes, it's a lot. So even if you can find nice combinations and chords and things, what you're doing is you're laying on a lot of energy and you're putting out so much. And so one of my favorite starter fills that I give people to start to create that more grounding and spacious vibe is, and if you've been to one of my classes before, you know this, it's the 1-3 fill. So you're welcome for the reminder. The 1-3 fill is really powerful. And I'll kind of explain mechanically what it is, but it's really powerful because it's still taking advantage of that nice long sustain and allowing you to go different places. I'm not going to tell you where to strike this, by the way, because that's not my style. I don't like to do it. I like to give you the framework, and then from there you can think about where you want to place it, and then you can kind of like take it different directions, see what sounds good. So the way that it works with this 1-3, so remember we have our 2 measures, right? We're going to leave the first measure totally open, just the power note, right? Just 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the second measure is where I like to start encouraging people to use fills. And instead of going all ham with the crazy fast fills and filling all the space a lot, to create that more grounding and spacious meditative play, the 1-3 fill comes in on 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So you can put this anywhere. You can go wherever you want with it. But you can see right there that it's allowing you to fill the space in different ways, depending on your level of technique and what you can do. But it's not activating. It's not causing anyone, even the most sensitive people. My wife won't get anxiety if you're playing the home plus the 1-3. Please don't give my wife anxiety. Do it for her. Do it for your own wives or husbands or children, whoever you care about. Don't give anybody anxiety as much as you can help it. Obviously, it's not really about you. It's about them. They need to learn to relate to things maybe a little differently. The point being, we can try our best to give them something grounding and relaxing to listen to so that they're not having to work against the energy that you're providing. So once again, 1-3 in that second measure is going to allow you to create a nice, spacious kind of feel in your music. Now, that's fairly easy to understand. Yeah, you guys, anybody have any questions about that? Need any support understanding that? Because that's your third pattern, and I only promised you 3 patterns for meditative play, so that's all you're getting today. Any questions at all about that? Because that's, yeah, all good. Awesome. Yeah. So, and I can show you an example with the ELO pygmies. So if anyone's out there with the pygmies, this is how it would kind of look on that. So you have 1, 2, so darken, 2, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops. 2, 3, 1, 2, 4. So you can see it applies to all the different scales, and it's just going to sound a little different on every scale. And you will also apply it in a slightly different way with the notes that you choose. So you kind of have structure and then also a little bit of freedom there so that you can feel confident that you're creating something grounding and spacious. And then it's just really about feeling out the energy that you're putting out through the notes, because the automatic energy of your grounded, spacious music is grounded and spacious, right? So let's go back through really quick, a quick recap. First thing before anything, like step 0, I would say, it's not even the first step, is ground and kind of space out yourself. I don't know why I said space out. Ground and become meditative yourself. That's the first step in the meditative approach, is to get yourself into an energetic state of calm. Because if you're in a state of calm, then you're much more likely to put out calming energy through your pan. And so the way that we do that, you remember the box breath that I shared in the very beginning. I highly recommend using that and just closing your eyes for a moment and thinking about your intention. Before you sit down to play, just close your eyes. You know, you can breathe slowly, deeply, and just think, I am here to create grounding, spacious music. I want to help people meditate. Whatever it is that you want to do, I want to help somebody heal. You just stop for a moment before you touch anything. Holding your breath, thinking about your intention, and breathing it out into the world. And then holding out and allowing it to stay out, and then breathing it back in. And the box breath is amazing. I love it. So I use that all the time myself, all my students. I encourage to use it, including y'all. Y'all are my students today. So please encourage, I highly encourage using some meditation before you start playing, just to get yourself down there. And then what we start to do, if we're going to be playing to a click, there's other ways to play meditative. I teach timeless playing, which is like not playing to a click. There's a different art to that. But in terms of playing to a click, if you want to like have something steady and you want to have some structure so you kind of know what you're doing and it's spaced out, you know, in a way that people can follow, you're going to start with your ghost notes, which you can do either quarters, 1, 2, 3, 4, eighths, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, or if you're advanced, you can try 16ths, 1 and a 2 and a 3 and 4. Okay, then we've got the return to home framework, the 8 count, and that's every 2 measures you're going to be landing on a power note, and that's either like with the pygmy drums, this is enough to be a power note. Because it's low and powerful. On my D major, it's more like it doesn't quite have that same oomph. So I recommend combining with a dyad, usually with the higher scales. And then the third pattern is that 1-3 fill. And again, very simple. We're just going nothing in the first measure. So the home in the first measure. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. And it's nice because that 1-3 fill, it leads you into home as well. So it's just really nice and seamless, and it sounds good together. And that's it. Yeah, then you can just kind of play with where you place those 1-3s. And you're good. You're playing meditative music. Woohoo! Yay! So that is basically what I had to share today. And if you are, interested in like how to create your own, that's something that I like, how to create your own fills, how to go deeper into all that. Obviously, I have more to share on that topic. But for today, I like to start people at that kind of grounding, spacious place. So no questions anywhere. If you would like to, you can please drop those in there. Would you guys like to hear about going deeper together, potentially my options for learning together? Yeah? Okay. Some of you. Cool. Yeah, so basically I have my signature one-on-one RAV for meditation mentorship, which includes my first level, which is the foundations, where you learn all of the different aspects of your pan. You basically are learning how to create all the different harmonics and effects, proper striking for single notes, dyad, two-handed dyad, one-handed triad, all this different stuff that we go into, isolation, the muting, and more. And then the foundations, those beginning layers of the meditative approach. And then in the second level, we go into more the meditative approach and creating your signature sound, developing your own unique voice on the instrument, and then applying it really to your specific intention, whatever that might be, personal healing, using it in your yoga meditation practice. So that's a 2-month mentorship, and it includes weekly access to me via Zoom for laser coaching, in addition to a weekly video course kind of module. So you got these lessons that break down the different aspects of the meditative approach and everything that I have to share. So you get the video modules, you watch them, and then we hop on a Zoom call for laser coaching on those specific things. So it's a really nice high touch version. And I've had about 35 people go through that at this point around the world. And they're getting great results using their drums in their sound healing meditation practice, personally, professionally. And yeah, they're loving it so far. So there's that. And then there were a lot of people who are also interested in a group version. So I've actually just started opening that up to people as well. And so that's basically, you get the same modules, but then you have a group Q&A call. So it's a little bit less direct one-on-one support, but you still get some of that. And that's, I think, a major differentiator between the way that I teach and the other things that are out there. You don't always get the direct support. I also have a RAV for Meditation student community group on Facebook, so you can actually go in there and post your music if you're feeling a little bit shy sharing it super publicly, or you want feedback as you're developing things. It's a really amazing, supportive community of other RAV for Meditation people who are interested in it. So in terms of, are you guys interested in hearing the investment or curious about that? You don't have to be. I'll just share it just so you know what it is. Basically, for the full 2-month with me one-on-one, right now it's 500. That's about to go up in 2021, and that's for the 2 months. So it only comes out to about $250 a month, which is an incredible deal because you get access to the video modules plus me one-on-one, and then that support also with the community and some WhatsApp support. And then if you are interested in the group version of that, which I've just opened up, so it's semi-group at this point. Sometimes you actually get like that one-on-one because it's early in the group format. That one is 300 for the full 2 months. So it breaks out to 150 if you pay in full. There's a slight if you do the 2 payments, but that basically are my 2 kind of options there. And you come out the other end feeling more confident, clear, and empowered to create grounding, spacious, meditative music, but also to be able to jam, to be able to do all the things you would want to do. You'll have a nice toolkit that you can pull from depending on the scenario and your intention for the moment. And you get that support from me to help integrate it into your playing and into your intention in your life with your music. So those are my options. And yeah, I would love to connect with you guys deeper. Arshad's asking, do we get videos as well for offline practice? Yes, so all the videos are included, like lifetime access to the videos. You get them on Dropbox, so you can download them and watch them later. And you can always return to them if you want to go deeper and like reapproach any of the lessons. Because I find that we tend to bring our life experience and our drumming experience to the lessons. And if you re-watch a lesson, you might have something new out of it. Oh, I got another question. I got some questions here. Can we reach you by email? Brian asked. Yes, you actually can. You can also find me on social media, but I will drop right now the email you can reach me at. It's just growthlabsglobal@gmail.com. That's my email right there. You can find me at Justin Ezor on IG, and on Facebook, my name is just Justin Ezor. I'm the only one in the entire world, actually, so it's really easy to find me. If you would like to have me reach out to you, you can also drop your email in the chat, and I'm happy to follow up and whatnot. And if you would like to get the access to the course, either the group or private version, you can reach out to me. I'm only accepting direct outreach at this point. And you can either do that via email or, nice, awesome, Brian shared his email. Or you can reach out to me on Instagram or Facebook, and I can send you more information about that. So I have some questions that I can also get back to. So you're saying, asking, here we go. So which combinations, whoa, I missed some questions, sorry guys. What if you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rather than 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4? Totally fine. I mean, ultimately, I'm not here to tell you like you have to do it my way. I do recommend trying it out my way because it is kind of the proper, I guess, way to count music. And so if you're going to communicate with other musicians, and generally when I'm communicating with you online, it's helpful to be able to talk about the measures and like where things are and spacing them out. And so if you're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, then I have to go on the and of 5 instead of the and of 2 in the second measure, which I guess is just as simple. But it just kind of creates less confusion in general. But in your own personal playing, like, why not? I mean, count to 8 if that helps you. It's something I think maybe that would be a little bit easier to get into. But if you want to stretch yourself, because all growth happens outside of our comfort zone, right? Try it out with the 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, and see how you get used to it. With combinations for the power notes in D major, which did you recommend? So that was with the ding, which is your D. And then you've got your A, which is on, if you're looking at the drum like this is your A right here. If you're looking at the drum like this, that's over here. Helpful? And then there's the G, which is the front note right here. Or you have, oh, no. Cool. So those are the ones I recommend for D major, just because those are the big notes that combine well. Can you reach my email? I already answered that one. Yes, you can. What about filling when playing eighth notes also on 1 and 3? Yep, it's the same. And you're actually only going to use your right hand when you're playing with eighth notes on 1 and 3, because what's happening is you're going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So your right hand is always going to be landing on 1 and 3. So you would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And that does mean that your left hand isn't going to get any action, but you could if you want to. You have to kind of break your right left pattern a little bit and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, which might be a little bit confusing to do, but you could totally do that. Totally up to you. Right? Yeah, it's also on 1 and 3, and that's just to do that 1-3 fill. There's other ways to fill the space, but in terms of this lesson, definitely you can do that. Why do I orient the drum with the low notes on the top? Roxanne is asking. So good question. The way that I first kind of saw this as an option, actually, because everybody plays it, with the low notes at them. I saw Nada Shana, if you know him. He's an amazing percussionist, super, super talented. He plays with his low notes away from him when he plays his RAV Vast. And I just thought, might as well give it a shot, because he doesn't share lessons online, like why he does certain stuff. I was like, well, there's a method to the mastery. Might as well try it out and see how it works. And what I immediately noticed, one, was that when I play the drum with the lower notes towards me, for some reason, the way that my hands access the notes, and this happens to be on the D major specifically, I guess, it sounds a little bit more childish, like the Rugrats theme song. I don't know. Like a lot more like airy almost, versus when I play it this way, for some reason, when I access the notes, there's a little bit more meat to it, just a little bit more fullness to the sound. So that's the first reason. The second reason is because with what we're just covering today, with the 8 count and that return to home framework, we're leaning into these power notes every 2 measures, right? So for me, what I noticed was that when I have the drum facing this way, it's a lot more easy and ergonomic for me to access these power notes over here away from me than when they're jammed up into my chest. So it just felt a lot more like I can do it this way, but for me, it doesn't feel as comfortable there. Whereas here, I just like having that nice room in front of me. And then I can always dance around on the high notes up here. It just gives me like a nice, easy access to all of them because they're small. And so for me, that just felt like a little bit better. So it doesn't really matter which way you play, but I always kind of encourage my students to try out this orientation and see how they feel with it. I also like, and this is another thing, I guess this is with the D major, not all drums have it this way, but with the ding, with your isolations and muting, on your left hand, you have that mute, the D to a D. So I actually use that a lot in my playing with my left hand. So I just like the way the drum sounds, this orientation for me. It's not bad though or wrong to play it the other way. So that's kind of my like long answer to that question. Bjorn, do we get videos as well for offline? Yes, I already answered. And then we just got emails. Okay, so that's all the questions. Cool. So please do, if you are interested in working together more deeply, reach out to me on Facebook, Instagram, email with what I provided. I will also grab all these emails and just send a quick follow-up thanking you for joining. I would love to hear how this goes for you as you guys apply it. So please, if you would like to, you can either send me like a little video on social media, or you can share it publicly and tag me at Justin Ezor, or tag me on Facebook, just so that I can see it and give you some props, some encouragement, and or just send it to me directly. I would love to hear how you apply the 8 count, the meditative approach, your ghost notes, all that. And maybe I'll give you a little bit of laser coaching if you're lucky. I usually do. So I feel extremely lucky, one, to have this great group of people. So I just really want to appreciate you all for showing up and being interested in what I had to share here today. So yeah, I love you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Yay, screenshot. Everybody smile. Look like you're happy. Pretend to be happy. Funny enough, pretending to be happy actually does make you happier, because when you smile, it releases endorphins and dopamine in your brain because your face is signaling to your brain that you're happy. Weirdly enough, you can lead your physiology, your psychology with your physiology. It's really fun. Another reason why deep breathing allows you to calm your nervous system, because when you're breathing deeply like that, usually you're pretty relaxed. So it signals to your body. Yeah, but So Bjorn's asking, do we also get this recording? I'm happy to send you the link to it so that you can watch that. And I usually have to wait for the RAV team to send it to me, and there's a time delay because they're sleeping right now. Um, so once my contact wakes up, I think he's sleeping or whatever. We'll see. Anyways, sometimes he's up late at night. So maybe he'll send it to me right away, but it's on the cloud, and I will send you the link so you can just pop in a little password and watch it right here on Zoom. Yeah, I hope this was helpful, guys. Anybody want to jump on and share verbal feedback or anything like that? You're welcome to. I'd love to hear your thoughts. We can have a little hangout for a second. International RAV friends over here. We got Brian unmuted. Hey,
yes, Brian. Justin, I just want to say thanks.
Of course.
I've been taking lessons off and on through the handpan, master the handpan, but I found it like just hard to get in the groove with what you described as all the kind of, the movement and stuff. I'm a Kundalini teacher training.
Cool.
And looking exactly for this, how to use I have another handpan and I have a couple other drums, but when I get back to Toronto from Brazil in March, I'll have my RAV there. Because I just found that listening to the RAV, the sustain on the RAV, it just seems longer and more beautiful. So I'm excited to pick it up, but I definitely like to talk to you more. But just some feedback on how you approached this. It was excellent. I appreciated the meditation up front, cooling everybody out. It was good to hear your personal story too. We're all in a journey. So I've already sent you a message on Instagram by email, cool. And maybe we just have a conversation first, and then I'd like to sign up for your 2-month gig. And thanks
awesome.
for everything. And nice to meet. That is really one thing I enjoyed right off the bat is like everybody's like from frickin' somewhere. Like we got Salvador and Spain and Germany and like I'm here in Brazil. My wife and some kids, her kids, are a little family here in Brazil. I'm back and forth from Brazil to Toronto, Canada, and managing COVID-related shit. So we're all, which we all are. So anyway, nice to meet everybody, and maybe we all end up in some group RAV thing together with Justin down the road. So just want to say thanks.
Either level of the course, you get lifetime access to the student community group on Facebook. So you got RAV friends for life that understand the approach.
Yeah, I kind of feel kind of attracted to the RAV crowd, although I've enjoyed the handpan lessons. That they're very structured, like they start like pretty much where you start, right? Mm-hmm. But then I just found I just couldn't get in the groove. Like this is the groove I'm looking for to meet stuff. I hope to get to know you a little bit better.
It's pretty common. A lot of people find me having gone through other courses where they're taught like a more active style of play, and it just doesn't quite resonate with what the intention was for getting their instrument. I was talking with the RAV team the other day. My guy there told me that 80% of the people who buy their drums, and they're selling a lot of drums, they're pushing 1,000 a month in the new year. 80% of those people are using it or buying it for the intention of meditation, for creating this grounding kind of spacious vibe. Only 20% of the people who buy it are actually professional musicians trying to, use it in their music. And even when it comes to that, the way that it's taught a lot of the times is it's not given with the frame of improvisation and kind of creating your own. And what I gave you here today was like pattern driven, and that's where we start. I'm not going to tell you where, I'm going to tell you when. And then when we dig into the course and digging into your signature sound and things like that, it's really about like learning to create it for yourself, empowering you so that you can go as far down the musical path as you want, because you have the toolkit, you have the wherewithal to be able to hang in the space-time continuum, as I like to call it, while still creating that grounding, spacious vibe. So yeah, thank you for sharing.
Yeah, let me just say, I bought the two handpans that I bought several years ago. I bought near Los Angeles. I don't know if you know Michaela. and her husband, they live out like she makes jewelry, like all good from the woods or something. I don't know if you know them, but I actually bought my handpans down outside of Los Angeles. They're professional percussionists, but
Nice.
anyway, so we'll talk about that offline.
Yeah, for sure. Does anyone else want to jump on and share how you feel? Any feedback, anything like that? Thank you so much, Brian. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I also want to say thank you, and I also have a bit of the same story than Brian told us. So I also started my teachings with the Master the Handpan course, and I also thought that I would end anywhere with meditation songs, and so I also thought that it was the perfect way to learn that. So yeah, much appreciated that lesson today.
So happy.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bueller.
Well, thank you, Justin, for all this beautiful class, and to all for sharing this community. I have the same intention than you, to heal, right? To heal others. So it's beautiful to share this moment with these beautiful people. So I want to say thank you one more time.
Thank you. Thank you. My heart is so happy right now. I love it. Robert says he had to go. So yeah. Great tip about muting on the D major harmonics. Works on your B chord. Nice. Yeah. It's really fun to find the different isolations and mutes that you can play with. That's one of the things that we dig into in the course, is just discovering all those, so you can start to use them in your music, having like actually playing them on beat and things like that. Really integrating it, because it's such a cool technique that allows you to really like change the sound while playing the same note. You know, you're instead of, you know, it sucks the sound in. It's really cool. Really fun for meditation, and the mutes, you get a whole other layer. I'm glad you liked it. Anybody else want to jump on and share? I hear that bird, Brian.
Yeah, I could show you guys. I don't know if you're interested. Let me show you the view off our balcony. Might be kind of interesting. We live in a city of 8 million people, but you would never know it looking at this.
Wow. What? Oh man, I need to go to Brazil. What am I doing in LA?
I'm telling you, we're inside the city. This is a protected farm that was protected, and yeah, it's not. The sun comes up there every morning. So
you're a lucky dude.
Yeah, it's a little bit different than downtown Toronto, but I've got an okay view there too. But yeah, still very fortunate. Old Indian territory.
Living with a view, man. That's impressive. I had some of that going on in Asia, but as soon as I came back to LA, it just died.
Yeah.
Now you see all my posts and videos, they're in a room with nothing and no nature. It used to be me in front of the sunset on the cliff in Bali, but it'll come back. We'll be back. You know, I have faith. Especially if more people start meditating and chilling out, so we can all just be healthy and resilient, right?
A lot of people who do Kundalini, they use the gong. But I never really, it's too strong for me. It feels too much.
It's
too
generally,
much.
It's
it stresses me out. Everybody else is all relaxed and something, but it just doesn't resonate with me, the vibration. It's too much. So
sometimes it comes down to the player. I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, it's a sound healing methodology that you're sharing. Bye, Roxanne. Thank you for coming. There, James. James had to take care of his baby boy. I get it. But but yeah, the same thing happens, when we think about our energy that we're putting out. Same thing as with the gong. If you don't have that,
you're right. You're right.
and sometimes not everybody has something inside of them that can get agitated. Different people will respond differently to your sounds that you put out because of what's going on inside of them. So if you find that like there's something getting triggered, ultimately it's a good thing, but you should be going through your things in a way that is like relaxing. Later, Humberto. Yeah. So yeah. Anyways,
you're right. It's my reaction to it. It's not about the player or the
but
gong.
it very well could be about the player as well, because if the style of play is agitating anxiety within you, it's probably some anxiety in them coming out. Oh, I'm nervous playing for the session, and then they spring the anxiety inside you. It resonates, so it actually is resonating, but just not necessarily the way you want. You want it to resonate with that deeper well of peace within you, which is what the meditative approach is all about, and what I think sound healing, sound baths are all about.
Kudos to you for kind of finding your way with these fans, because it's kind of what a lot of us are looking for, like you say, but a lot of professional players, like you found your groove. I just want to congratulate you.
Thank you so much, man. I did definitely go through my own phase of figuring it out, and it's really cool now to like take people that are new to it and get them there right away. It feels really full circle in a lot of ways, because people do kind of have a harder time sometimes figuring that out, especially if they're not a percussionist and they haven't been trained in sound healing. It's kind of a nice way to just get a download, of a system and framework, so that you don't have to.
I was an old rock and roll drummer from the 1960s, so I grew up playing the Doors and Jimi Hendrix and the Cream, so it's taken me a while to slow that shit down.
Yeah, I'm all about those guys too, and AC/DC
and
all that.
It's still in there and playing the blues and stuff. I haven't played it.
The cool thing is that you can integrate that into your style. Like I play very jazzy music. I'm a jazz drummer. I've been trained in like the way that feel lives, and I know how to improvise because I was taught by some amazing people. It does have a place. It's just when you put it into that framework of grounded spaciousness, all of a sudden it has the room to do its thing. Whereas before it's just so much going on that you don't have that room, and it just overactivates. You're listening to death metal on a handpan. So
maybe my goal will be to play a meditative blues riff or something.
Yeah. That sounds cool, man. And I think the blues is a really beautiful style of music because it has so much feeling and heart in it, right? And it's something that I like to get people to start to do is play from the heart, instead of using your head all the time and going this then this then this then this. The perfect pattern must be played. How about we find a way to feel it? How about we find a way to really anchor into our heart, and have it come out from there?
Maybe Bjorn had the same experience with the Master of the Handpans, and I think it's not about the lessons, but it's maybe how I was approaching it, because it was studying and getting the patterns and too much in the head, and I never got to the point of playing my pans with my heart. I just haven't got there.
That's very common. It's not just you. And I don't think that the course is bad or that it's anything like that. It's definitely value to it. There's 100% value to it. And then at the same time, I also have people coming in saying that they feel slightly like constricted by where they are, and then they get to the very end and they haven't gotten themselves to the end of the creative road, so they don't know how to go or where to go next. How did you even get me to this point? Whereas I like to like build it up and allow you to discover and build yourself, and then encourage the things that you're doing right that I've seen, and like reinforce you, versus me trying to force you into me, and making a carbon copy that doesn't really know how to be itself. I don't want you to be second-rate Justin Ezor. I want you to be Brian Rush, who doesn't rush.
Bjorn is going to make a comment.
Brian Rush is your old.
I mean, it's just good for beginning. I just took 10 lessons of the Master the Handpan course, and I enjoyed it because it was a very good beginning to get in touch with this beautiful instrument.
Absolutely.
But as you said, it's just all around the training course. So you just get some inspiration from that way and that way and this way, and you're not forced to find your own pattern. So
yeah, I feel you, man. But it's great, you know, it's good. And some people really, really love it and benefit a lot from it. I think everything that you get is supportive ultimately. You know, you take what works and you let go of what doesn't. And as long as you remain open to learning and finding more resources, you'll always find what you want, you know. I find that the intention that I created this course with often matches this intention that people just had out in the ether. Like I was just trying to make more meditative music and I couldn't find anyone who taught the style, and then I saw you, and it's like we're here all in this, like we're a mirror of one another, you know, and we're all just trying to like find the places where we fit and the resources and the things that can support us in activating our potential, becoming the fullest version of ourselves as a musician, as a healer, whatever it might be that you're working towards and growing towards, because we're all growing. So yeah, I
got to run too.
Right on. I'm just
so nice to meet you all.
Having too much fun hanging out with y'all.
Me too.
Yeah, so please find me on social media if you want to chat or email me. And thank you so much for joining. I love you guys. You're the real 3 dedicated ones here at the very just kidding. Everyone else is dedicated. They have chosen. Later, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Take care. Thank you so much for joining.
Stay safe, everyone.
Yeah, stay safe.